they can sit back here with triceps. With C6, they can stay back here, okay? Because they just prop themselves so they're leaning. They can learn to be independent. Now, they can do it all the way up to here, but as soon as your hands get close to your hips, they lose being able to fall back on the arms. Because if your arms are right here, what are you gonna lean on? You're gonna be falling. Does everyone see that? Just do it on, this is sort of common sense, right? The arms are back, you can lean. You can lean all the way up to about here, but then once your hands are close to the hips, you lost your balance. And it comes back when you're able to lean forward. Okay, so there's this spot when your hands are right next to your hips, you have no balance because your arms can't support you, because you can't lean on them to keep yourself from falling. Again, as you start coming forward, then you can start propping or supporting yourself again. So you've got this back here, you've got this neutral spot where they can't keep it themselves even with their arm, but then as soon as they come forward, they can lean onto their arms. Okay, make sense? Okay, so if you read it, it says, patient moves her hands from behind the hips to the hips, finally forward to the knees, okay? Hamstring range of motion is essential to perform this. Once you can place your hands in front of the hips and close to the knees, you can maintain the position. So where we start is back here. This is the safest place. That's what they're going to be safest with. So learning from back here to just before the hips, this is the place where you're going to start bringing an arm up, okay? Kenny made it look too easy because he didn't see a lot of motion because he really knows how to really work it. But if you have someone has he's got a little bit of trunk, but absolutely nothing, no trunk at all, are they going to just be able to sit here propped? Probably not very good, because they need to learn, once you take away a support, they're going to have to learn to, and this is how you teach them. You teach them, if you fall backwards, what are you going to do? Where's your head and your arms need to go?
Forward.
Correct. They happen together. This is what Kenny looks like, doesn't he? Okay? So you're going to work on it and see if you can get them so he learns to lean more on this side and learn to control, okay? And then you're going to switch to the other arm. Does that make sense? First of all, so the first at the right beginning is, can they learn to maintain their balance as they weight shift and come forward to right about here, okay? Then you start working on one arm, okay? Now you're going to have them weight shift over to this side, and you're going to have them work on this, okay? They won't fall this way because they're propped on that side, but can they fall this way? If they fall this way, yes, you're going to have to go, you're going to go wherever, okay? So you're going to work on this for a long time to teach them, can I lift an arm and maintain my balance, okay? This is the problem, is right here. So one thing you teach is they can't just keep their arms here. They're going to have to learn to balance. So if I bring it at the hips, then can I do one arm? And they're going to have to learn. They can get to the point where both arms, they have a set point. And it's basically their center of gravity is going to be posterior. They're going to be hanging on their, okay, does everyone see that? Their hamstrings. And they'll get to a point where they can just be here momentarily without falling. But once the center of gravity goes away from that base of support, they're going to fall, okay? So you start here, one arm, the other arm, okay? You work on the balance. It's hard for us to pretend because we got trunks. Once we get to this point, can we work at the hips, doing the one arm and then the two arm, okay? Then we're going to come forward. Now this is a little easier because they're just going to fall forward, but can they maintain their balance? They're leaning here, but they have no trunk, so can they still fall over? Absolutely. Then they're going to do, okay, both arms. Once they've mastered bilateral support, being independent, and then they're gonna do one arm, master again, moving one arm and being able to keep their balance in any position. So you gotta do both arms, okay? You gotta do one arm, then the other arm, then what's the last thing we're gonna do? Two arms, okay? So the upper extremity, and this is the toughest. You don't start back here, you start here, okay? So can they find that, Kenny calls it a sweet spot where he can just sit. But they're gonna be falling forward, they're gonna be falling backwards. This is exactly what Kenny looks like, not exactly, but this is what Kenny looks like. You got to see a picture of it. So if I go this way, I'm gonna go the opposite direction, right? Go this way. It's hard for us to pretend this, that's the problem, because we have a trunk. But you need to know there is a progression to teaching of this. Yes, Gray?
At some point, can you write the progression up on the board so we can take a picture of it?
Excuse me?
At some point, could you write the whole progression up on the board so we can take a picture
It
of
should be down here, but yes, I can, yes.